Have you ever stood in a place so quiet that the silence feels alive? Imagine the air turning cold, the faint smell of dust and pine needles drifting by, and the strange feeling that someone or something is watching you from just out of sight. Tonight, we're not just telling ghost stories. We're challenging you to step inside Montana's most haunted places, to look, to listen, and to wonder the dead still walk among the living. 1. The Old Montana Prison Deer Lodge. Our first stop takes us to Deer Lodge, Montana. Here stands the Old Montana Prison, built in 1871. Imagine its high gray stone walls, cold and weather-worn, looming like a fortress. For over a century, these walls kept watch over some of Montana's most dangerous criminals, and perhaps still do. Step inside. The iron gate slammed behind you, echoing down the long, empty corridors. You can almost smell the damp stone, feel the chill rising from the floor. The cells line up like empty eye sockets, staring back at you. This was no gentle place. The prison was overcrowded, brutal, and often violent. One of its most infamous stories is the 1959 riot, a standoff that left Deputy Warden Ted Roth dead and forever stained the prison's history. Visitors today report hearing heavy boots pacing the cell blocks, even when the place is empty. Some hear keys jangling. Others swear they hear faint whispers, a conversation between prisoners long gone. One of the most chilling spots is the maximum security cell known as the Hole. Stand inside, and you might feel a sudden weight in your chest, like the darkness itself is pressing against you. Some have said they heard breathing in the blackness, not their own. Picture this: moonlight slipping through the tiny window bars, dust dancing in the pale glow, and then a shadow passes by when no one is there. 2. The Sacajawea Hotel, Three Forks. From a place of punishment, we move to a place of luxury, or so it seems. The Sacajawea Hotel in Three Forks, built in 1910, was once a grand stop for travelers and railroad workers. Its wide wraparound porch still welcomes guests with a warm glow at night, but some guests never checked out. Walk through the lobby, and you'll notice the rich wood paneling, the polished banisters, the soft creak of the floorboards beneath your feet. There's a warmth here, a sense of history, of lives lived. But there's also a strange heaviness in the air, like a memory that refuses to fade. One of the hotel's most famous spirits is known simply as the Lady in White. Some say she was a heartbroken bride who never made it to her wedding day. Others say she was a housekeeper who met a tragic end in the early 1900s. Guests have seen her gliding down the staircase, her white dress trailing behind her like mist. Others report hearing soft footsteps in the hallways late at night, followed by the faint scent of lavender, as if she's just walked by. Imagine sitting in your room, the lamps casting a warm glow, when the door handle turns slowly. You open the door expecting a prank, but the hallway is empty, quiet, still. The Sacajawea Hotel is beautiful, yes, but it is also a place where the past brushes shoulders with the present, reminding every guest that history is very much alive here. 3. Bannack Ghost Town, Bannack State Park. Our final stop takes us to a true ghost town, Bannack, Montana. Founded in 1862 during the gold rush, was once a bustling mining town. It was full of life, laughter, fights, and fortune seekers. Today, it stands frozen in time, a silent collection of weathered buildings under the wide Montana sky. As you walk down the dirt main street, the wind whistles through broken windows. The wooden sidewalks creak, and you might hear the distant clang of a hammer, though no one is there. Bannack has a share of legends, but none more famous than the story of Henry Plummer, the town sheriff and secret outlaw. In 1864, Plummer was hanged by vigilantes right here in Bannack. Some say his ghost still lingers, searching for justice or maybe revenge. Visitors have seen figures standing in the old jailhouse window. Others have reported hearing voices in the saloon, the clinking of glasses, the sound of laughter, as if the party never ended. You step into the old schoolhouse. It's quiet. Dust floats in the shafts of sunlight streaming through the windows. Then a faint giggle, a child's voice. You turn, but the room is empty. There's a sadness here, too. Bannack isn't just haunted by ghosts, but by the memories of a town that rose and fell so quickly. It's a place that reminds us that even the brightest dreams can turn to shadows. For Garnet Ghost Town, Missoula County. Just east of Missoula lies Garnet, another Montana ghost town. But this one feels different. Garnet is one of the best preserved mining towns in the West. Wooden buildings still stand, their windows dark, like watchful eyes. Step into the general store. Dust covers the shelves. Jars still sit where they were left over a century ago. The air smells faintly of wood smoke and time-worn timber. People say Garnet is alive with spirits. Visitors have heard the sound of piano music drifting from Kelley Saloon when the town is completely empty. Others have seen a woman's figure in a long skirt moving across the street before vanishing. One of the eeriest places is the old hotel. Guests have claimed to hear doors closing on their own, boots stomping on the floor above them, and muffled voices in the middle of the night. Imagine standing on the main street at dusk, the last light painting the buildings gold. And then a figure steps onto the porch across the way. You blink and they're gone. 5. Chico Hot Springs, Prairie, Montana. Next, we visit Chico Hot Springs, a resort tucked in the Paradise Valley. Opened in the early 1900s, it was a place of healing, where people came to soak their worries away. But for some, this place became their final resting spot. The hotel glows warmly at night, and the steam from the hot springs rises into the cold mountain air. But inside the main building, guests have reported a visitor, a ghostly figure known as Alice. Alice is said to have been a former nurse who worked at the resort's sanatorium. She is described as a gentle, caring presence, sometimes tucking in guests while they sleep or standing silently by their bed as if watching over them. Imagine waking up to feel a hand brush your shoulder, the smell of lavender in the air. But when you turn on the light, no one is there. Unlike many hauntings, Alice's presence is comforting, almost protective. Yet it reminds us that even in peaceful places, spirits can linger, watching quietly from the edges of our lives. 6. The Dumas Brothel, Butte, Montana. Our last stop takes us to Butte, Montana, to one of the most notorious places in the state, the Dumas Brothel, built in 1890. This building served as a brothel for nearly 92 years, making it the longest-running house of prostitution in the country. Behind its brick walls were stories of hardship, survival, and sometimes tragedy. The narrow hallways are still there, the tiny rooms with faded wallpaper, the faint smell of old perfume lingering in the air. Many believe the women who once lived and worked here never truly left. Visitors report hearing soft footsteps in empty hallways, doors opening and closing, and voices whispering through the walls. Some have even seen apparitions of women in period dresses, standing silently in doorways or at the top of the staircase, watching. Picture this. The building is quiet, lit only by a single hanging bulb. You hear the sound of laughter, faint, feminine, coming from the basement. When you go down to check, the room is empty, the laughter gone, leaving only silence and the cold air around you. 7. Moss Mansion, Billings, Montana. In Billings, Montana, stands a Moss Mansion, a red stone mansion built in 1903 by Preston Boyd Moss, a man whose fortune helped shape the city. The home was filled with life, laughter, and parties, but also sorrow. Walk through its elegant hallways and you'll smell old wood, polished brass, and time itself. The air feels heavier here, as if every room remembers its former occupants. One of the most commonly seen spirits is that of Virginia Moss, Preston's young daughter, who tragically died in the home at age 5. Visitors have reported hearing a child's laughter in empty rooms or seeing a small figure dart past doorways. Some say they've seen a woman's apparition, perhaps Mrs. Moss, standing on the grand staircase, watching over her house. Picture yourself standing in the parlor, the chandelier glowing softly. You hear faint music, as if a piano is playing upstairs. But no one is there, just a mansion, holding on to its memories. 8. Carroll College, Helena, Montana. Our next stop is Carroll College in Helena, a peaceful campus with stunning Gothic architecture. But behind the beauty lies a ghost story that chills even the bravest students. At night, the campus feels still, the stone buildings casting long shadows on the Montana moon. The most famous ghost is the spirit of a nun who is said to haunt St. Charles Hall. Legend says she died tragically in the early years of the school. Students have heard her footsteps echoing down the halls. Even when they are alone, lights flicker mysteriously, doors close softly on their own, and late-night study sessions have been interrupted by the feeling of someone standing behind you. But when you turn, there's no one there. It's not a frightening presence, but a lonely one, like the ghost is simply keeping watch over the school she loved. 9. The Hotel Meade, Bannack Ghost Town. Our final stop brings us back to Bannack, but this time to its most haunted building, the Hotel Meade. Built in the 1870s, this two-story brick hotel was once the pride of Bannack, a place where miners and travelers gathered for a warm bed and a hot meal. Today, it sits abandoned, its windows dark, its halls silent. Step to the front door and your footsteps echo off the wooden floors. The air is cold, as though the building itself is holding its breath. Visitors have reported seeing the ghost of a little girl, dressed in blue, standing silently on the staircase. Some say she drowned nearby in Grasshopper Creek and returned to the hotel. Perhaps her family once stayed here. Others hear phantom voices and the sound of boots walking down the hallway, even when they're completely alone. Picture the sun setting outside, the hotel bathed in orange light. As you look up the staircase, you see a figure, just for a second, watching you. Then she's gone, leaving only the sound of the wind whistling through the broken windows. 10. Daly Mansion, Hamilton, Montana. In the Bitterroot Valley lies the Grand Daly Mansion, once the home of Copper King Marcus Daly, one of Montana's most powerful men. Built in 1910, the mansion was filled with parties, music, and the sound of footsteps on its sweeping staircases. Today, it is a museum, but some say Marcus Daly and his family never fully left. Walk through its elegant halls, and you might smell old varnish and roses. The house is quiet, but every creak of the floor feels alive. Visitors have reported hearing footsteps on the upper floors, even when no one is there. Some have seen shadowy figures standing near the windows, looking out over the gardens. Others have heard faint piano music playing from the parlor, though the piano is untouched. Imagine standing alone in the ballroom, moonlight spilling across the polished floor, when a door slams somewhere above you. 11. Little Bighorn Battlefield, Crow Agency, Montana. This next stop is more than haunted. It is sacred ground, the Little Bighorn Battlefield, where in 1876 General George Custer and his men met their fate in one of the most famous battles of the American West. The rolling hills are quiet now, covered in grass, dotted with white markers where soldiers fell. The wind here seems to carry whispers, and the weight of history is heavy. Park rangers and visitors have reported hearing distant war cries at night, the sound of galloping horses, and even gunshots echoing across the plains. Some have seen ghostly figures of soldiers or native warriors riding across the hills before vanishing into the mist. Picture standing there at dusk, the sky painted red and gold, when you hear hoofbeats rushing past you. But when you turn, the field is empty. 12. University of Montana, Missoula. Our final stop takes us to University of Montana in Missoula, a campus buzzing with life, but also alive with ghost stories. At night, the old buildings loom quietly over the grassy oval. The lamps glow softly, and every shadow feels a little longer. The most famous haunted spot is Brantly Hall, a women's residence built in 1923. Students have reported hearing doors slam, footsteps running in empty hallways, and even the sound of a woman sobbing late at night. Some claim to have seen a woman's ghostly face staring from the windows when the building is locked and empty. Imagine studying late, the halls completely still, when the sound of footsteps begins slow, steady, coming closer and closer until they stop just behind you. 13. The Grand Union Hotel, Fort Benton, Montana. In Fort Benton, the oldest city in Montana, stands the Grand Union Hotel. Opened in 1882, once called the finest hotel between Chicago and Seattle. Today, it still welcomes guests and apparently some who never checked out. Its brick facade glows warmly under the street lamps. Step inside, and you'll hear the faint hum of history in the polished lobby. As if the past is still alive here, guests and staff have reported seeing a man dressed in 19th century clothing wander in the halls at night. Some say he's a former riverboat captain who met a violent end nearby. Others have heard the sound of boots on the staircase, doors opening and closing, and even a phantom horse snorting outside the hotel, a nod to the town's wild frontier past. Picture yourself sitting in the bar late at night, the ice melting in your glass, when you hear the door swing open, but no one comes in. 14, Virginia City, Montana's living ghost town. Virginia City is not just a tourist stop, it's a living ghost town. Once the territorial capital of Montana, this gold rush town is preserved almost exactly as it was in the 1860s. Walk its boardwalks and you can almost hear the echo of horse hooves and the laughter of miners. The buildings lean slightly with age, and the air smells of old pine and dust. There are countless ghost stories here. The shadowy figure of a man seen near the hangman's building where vigilantes once carried out executions. Children's laughter heard near the old schoolhouse, and doors that open and close in the opera house when no one is inside. Imagine standing on the empty street at twilight, the sun dipping behind the hills, when a single piano note rings out from Saloon, but the building is locked. 15. Garnet's Kelley Saloon, Missoula County, specific hotspot. We visited Garnet before, but one place deserves its own mention: Kelley Saloon. This was the heart of the town's social life, a place of music, whiskey, and celebration. Inside, the bar still stands, dusty but proud, and the air is heavy with the smell of old wood and rust. Visitors claim that late at night, the sound of a piano playing drifts from the saloon, even though no one is inside. Some say they've heard ghostly laughter, clinking glasses, even the murmur of a long-forgotten conversation. Picture this. You stand in the doorway, the moonlight spilling across the floor, and for a moment you swear you see the room alive. Miners laughing, women dancing, before the vision fades, leaving silence. 15 places. 15 stories of laughter, love, violence, and tragedy, all stitched into Montana's wide-open landscape. What strikes me most is that none of these hauntings feel cruel. They feel like memories that refuse to fade, like the land itself is whispering, asterisk, don't forget us. Montana's haunted places are less about fear and more about connection. To the people who came before us, to the history that shaped this place, to the reminder that we, too, will one day become part of someone else's story. If you felt a shiver tonight, or maybe just a tug at your heart, don't leave just yet. Share your favorite haunted place in the comments. Hit like if you want more ghost stories from across America, and subscribe so you can join us on the next journey into the past. Because the ghosts aren't going anywhere, and neither are we.